Welcome to the Motor School Guide for Escort drivers and pilot drivers to correctly complete a Queensland Movement Record. This is an initiative of Motor School to assist pilots and escorts in correctly completing their documentation to ensure they are lawful and compliant. A movement record is not just a piece of paper. It is the permit to move the load you are moving. If information is incorrect or incomplete, you may be fined and your permit may become invalid, in which case the movement can be unlawful. All information must be 100% correct. You can never have too much information, so how do we fill it out correctly? Let's have a look. Here we have a blank movement record. What you'll notice at the top are the words Pilot/Escort Movement Record, and importantly, the words underneath, Transport Operations Road Use Management Act 1995. That links this document to that legislation. Therefore, you must make sure it is completed correctly. We've broken this form into sections to help you complete it and understand why you're completing it and what you're doing. The first section, part 1, relates to the vehicle owner, their address, and the description of the load or vehicle. So it could be a transport company, the vehicle could be owned by a person, they will have a business address of some sort, and then we have the load or the vehicle. So it may be you're carrying a load on the back and a description of that, or it may be an overdimensional empty vehicle that you're escorting, in which case it may be a platform or similar. The route taken and the dimensions. So here we look at where you've gone from and to, what roads you've used, what date it started, what time, and then the dimensions of overall, that's the truck and the load, and the article, which is just a load. Part 3 takes us to the people involved in the load. So here we have the truck driver, we then have the first pilot, the second pilot, and third pilot should that be the case. Lastly, part 4 is the distribution of the duplicate copies in the book. Part 1 of the movement record relates to the details of the owner of the vehicle. This section is for the name of the truck owner. This can be a company or it can be the name of a person. Next, we look at the business address of the motor vehicle. Normally that's where the motor vehicle is registered to. Sometimes you may need to call a company to get those details, and in other instances you will see the name and the address on the side of the prime mover. Next, we look at the description of the load. Is this a site office? Is it a grader? Whatever it may be on the back, that's what you put in here. But sometimes you'll escort a load where there is nothing on the back. However, the load or the truck itself is overdimensional, such as a platform. So you would write in platform. Part 2 of your movement record relates to the route taken. Here we have to ensure all the details of the journey are complete and accurate. So the route taken is all the roads you have travelled from the beginning to the end of your journey. You must ensure the full address is completed for both departure and arrival location. A good way to think of this is that if you were to post a letter, what information would you need for it to get there? The escort origin is the suburb the load commenced. The destination is where the load finishes or where it's going to. In this example here, you can see the roads are listed on the route taken, and the origin is the Hale Creek mine and the destination is Copperbella. Next, we look at the commencement date. This also has to be completed by you in full. It's recommended that you put the letters 2020 for the year rather than just 20, because it can be altered later. So here we put the date and the time, and importantly with the time, you must mark it with AM or PM. Next, in part 2, we look at dimensions. Overall dimensions is the overall length, width and height of the truck and load, whichever is the larger number. This is where a height stick and measuring tape are beneficial. It has been known for pilots or escorts to be provided the incorrect dimensions, so check it yourself if you're not sure. The article, this is the overall dimensions of the load on the back of the truck. For this example, we're using a site office. Recapping part 1 and 2 of our movement record, we'll look at some of the samples that we've put in place here to give you an idea how it should be completed. We're starting off with the owner's name being Motor School Haulage. The address of Motor School is 137 Sandgate Road, Albion in Queensland, postcode 4010. Our load in this instance is a site office. The load is taken from Hale Creek Mine to Coppabella, Hale Creek being the origin and Coppabella being the destination. To get there, the route taken was Hale Creek Mine Road, Sutor Development Road, and then the Peak Downs Highway. The escort commenced on the 6th of the 5th, 2020 at 11 a.m. Next, we look at the dimensions. The dimensions overall, which is the truck and the load, was a length of 24.8 metres, a width of 4.45 metres, and a height of 4.4 metres. However, the article, which is the load on the back, had a length of 8.4 metres, a width of 4.45, and a height of 3.4 metres. Part 3 is where we look at the details of the driver of the heavy vehicle, or the load being moved. In this case, the driver's name is to be made in full. So if it's John Smith, it will be John, not Johnny, Jono, or J Smith. It will be the full name John. We have the registered number of the vehicle. This is the number plates attached to the vehicle, be it a federal interstate license plate, a local license plate, whatever the case is. But if it's a state-based one, you may put NT for Northern Territory, whatever the case is, but make sure that number plate is accurate and correct. Next, we look at the brand of the truck. Is it a Kenworth, a Mack, is it a Freightliner, a Scania, Mercedes-Benz, whatever it may be, we write in the make of the truck. The license number is the license number as per the driver's license. If there's a 0 on the front, please include it. We get so many pilots that don't include that. Next, we get the driver to sign it. He signs it to say that the information is true and correct. So his name is correct, the registration number is correct, the brand of vehicle is correct, the license is correct, and he's saying that yes, this information is all accurate and correct. For most pilots, this part should be pretty easy. This is where you complete your details. So your name in full, your authorization or accreditation number in full, and then you sign it. Make sure your name is complete, and we often get pilots who either put their initial rather than their name or leave the 0 off. Sometimes you may be assisted by a second or even a third pilot. It's a requirement of you to also document their details. What will be required is the driver's name, their authorization number, and make sure again that you add the 0 to the authorization if it appears on the license that way. You'll see in this form here, there's a small box that asks for the name in full and the authorization for both the second and third pilot. Don't skip detail, be accurate, be compliant. As a recap on part 3, we have to make sure that we have the truck driver's details, including the make of vehicle and his license and his signature. The next part is our details as the pilot or escort, including your authorization number, full name and signature. And you'll see the third box covers off on additional pilots who may be assisting on the load. You may need their name and authorizations number should that be the case. Next, we're going to have a look at the distribution of the documents that are inside your movement record book. As you may have noticed, the documents are coloured and each one is significant to a part of the load and your record maintenance. The first one is the white copy. This is given to the truck driver once it's completed, and this then becomes the permit to move. The second one, the blue copy, is given to your employer. This would be in the case where you're working for a pilot vehicle firm or a haulage company that are engaging you full-time as an employee to be a pilot. The third one, in the pink copy, is kept by you for record-keeping purposes. The key tip in relation to your pilot escort movement record is you will not get a fine for having too much information, but you will get fined for not having enough. For additional pilot or escort training courses, please contact Motor School. Our email address is info@motorschool.com.au or our website is motorschool.com.au. We hope this has assisted you in completing your movement records professionally and thoroughly.